So, turns out Splatoon 3 is a pretty big deal. The millions of people who've played the game already have also dipped their toes into the new single-player campaign. With a structure that merges the old story modes and Octo expansion, the long-lost facility of Alterna, however it's pronounced, challenges players, gets newbies accustomed to the gameplay, and drops some insane lore. But that's not what we're here for. With a whole lot of individual levels to play through, some are better or worse than the others. And if you've been wondering how well they measure up, or even if you haven't but you're mildly curious now, look no further. I've checked every last corner of the underground, so now I can give a brief overview and letter ranking for all of them. Quickly, because there's a lot to go over. Fair warning, there will be story spoilers at a few points out of necessity, so if you're worried about that, then go play it first and come back here after. We'll be covering every level in the main part of the campaign, so that excludes the crater and its handful of tutorial levels, and a pretty fun grudge match with DJ Octavio, as well as the extra post-game level because I haven't finished it yet. Yeah, I know. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Alterna kicks off with a sandbox level, introducing a bunch of objects and gimmicks that'll be recurring going forward. Tutorial levels are usually pretty bland, but this one does a solid job, sectioning everything off and teaching 1 to 2 things at a time in a controlled environment. Doesn't blow your socks off, but it's not half bad of a start. Next level brings back an old enemy type, these walking missiles that try to kamikaze you. The level also quietly teaches a few other things, finding alternate routes by observing your surroundings, dealing with foes around corners, and using your own ink to limit enemy approaches. There's even a bit at the end where you get to blow up a bunch of them. By having enemies flip up from the pathway's underside, this stage teaches you to prepare for ambushes and use cover. It's not very interesting structurally, just a straight shot, but the emphasis is on combat anyway. And there's that room that lets you open fire on a whole wave with a Trizooka, if you didn't pop it early. Full disclosure, I actually really liked this one. Makes very good use of its space. Looking up and around for inkable surfaces, dropping through grates onto catwalks you couldn't reach before, it's just satisfying solving this thing. Maze levels are usually a slog in platformers, but this one goes above and beyond. Get your Moai memes out of the way now while you can. First level to have a non-standard goal, painting as much of the giant statue as you can with no enemies or time limit. Not only is it fun, it's great for practicing your aim and precision painting if you're one of the 12 Explosher mains. The Zipcaster's got a learning curve, so what better way to teach players the ropes than a stage that doesn't even bother hiding its inspiration? It may not go as hard as some later levels do, but it accustoms players to the special basics and lets you feel like a superhero the whole way. I feel naked without a weapon. Good thing this stage focuses on Small Fry's unique traits for puzzle solving, not combat. It's creative enough, but the total lack of danger dulls the challenge somewhat, and since Small Fry is exclusive to Alterna, nothing you learn here carries over into multiplayer. Alright, sniper time. Just gotta focus, aim it just right, and... well, that was quick. Sure, it's early game, but this one's a little too easy as long as you can see past the clutter. Is this how charger mains feel all the time? Stringers are pretty complex, so a level devoted to teaching their quirks is welcome. That said, how often will you need to stick arrows to a moving wall to get behind enemy defenses, or shoot through multiple narrow openings in a row? There are pros and cons to the bow's types of fire, but is it just me, or does the way this level teaches them not correlate to actual turf wars much at all? This is payback for all the wave breakers I've thrown down, isn't it? A short but sweet challenge that tests your shockwave dodging ability. The trick is realizing your jumps have different heights and hang times based on how long you hold B, which makes me wish this level told you that so it could serve as a practice ground. Site 2 starts us off with a disorienting climb. Time your shots and try not to get turned around. Things get dicier up top. Not only do the platforming and enemy layouts make a jump in difficulty, messing up now means spending a minute or longer just getting back up. Not a good start. Absorbent in yellow and porous is... wait a minute. The spotlight here is on sponges of bigger size than you usually see, and how you can use them for traversal and temporary cover. Still, something about this level makes it feel like it drags on too long. One section too many, maybe? Our introduction to soaker blocks. Interesting little things, even if they're only in single player so far. The stage explores a lot of what these new set pieces can do. Crossing gaps, providing pop-up walls to swim up, blocking enemy fire for a bit. A solid stage overall. Just don't try it with the Octobrush. Time to break the targets. A pseudo auto-scroller that gets to the point with just the right length to be challenging without overstaying its welcome, even if it gets tough if you go with a slosher. Good thing it's not, I don't know, thrice as long and lacking a checkpoint in the middle. Another stage built around a special, this one's all about the crab tank. You get a lot of practice using the little battle mech's different features to open doors and mow down enemies. But the highlight is when you bang and bing your way up platforms to bust down the giant robot. Yep, this one's a winner. This is a three-dimensional maze. Can be pretty tricky in the first half if you don't realize you can ink the walls for free shortcuts, as long as you take care of the Octo Sniper. Bit on the long side, but the twist halfway through does that revisiting old ground under new circumstances thing, which is always fun. Let's be honest, all of us reacted the same way when we got to this one. Oh no, not one of these again. But this stage actually isn't so bad once you resist the urge to ink the ground and walls in front of you. Focuses more on finding ways to clear challenges with as few shots as possible, so using your head is key. Anyone up for hide and seek? Don't worry, we're doing the seeking. Hit the hidden switches is a tried and true level concept, but this one does it better than most. The level's just the right length, the switches have hidden tells, the blocks they're on stand out visually, and assembling a path to the goal just feels good. You know, I wasn't sure what to expect from the bosses going in, but I definitely didn't expect Deep Cut to go full Team Rocket. As the leading act, Fry does not disappoint. Combining metamorphing ink eels, the old Octostomp's shell, and a sorta kinda Indian flair makes for one hell of a fight with attacks that provide a threat while still having intuitive weak points. The bar's been set, and it's way up there. Another opener that emphasizes verticality. Weave around attempted recreations of buildings while picking off the Octarians stationed on them. This one's pretty simple and to the point, though I do like that bit at the end where you can tentamissile a whole squad of enemies. Of course, Octozeppelins needed some action in this game too. This time they're obstacles and makeshift platforms. Another level that makes good use of its space, but it does involve a lot of waiting on a wing while your ride slowly makes its way across the expanse. Not a deal breaker, but it sure is a pace breaker. A long name for a long level with a bunch of inkwheel setups. There's nothing terrible going on here, though I have words about that one crate you can't reach without specifically reef-slidering a soaker block, but this one just kind of drags on, and that bit with the snipers and narrow walkways feels like it's too early difficulty-wise. Whew, what's with all the complicated names all of a sudden? Gotta admit, I dig these sub-weapon puzzle stages when they're done well, even if they don't help your multiplayer abilities much. A set of increasingly complex curling bomb skill shots that emphasize timing, banking, and holding the bomb to make it go slower? Yep. Difficulty of this stage varies a lot based on your weapon of choice. It's not too bad with the slosher, but good luck with the other two. Or maybe I just can't match with the ink brush worth a damn. If you haven't learned how to aim, strike, and paint a way forward quickly, you will by the time you beat this one. Another target test, but this one's on the ground and with 3 less conventional weapons. The timer isn't very forgiving, so the better your aim, the better chance the facility AI won't dump a load of fuzzy ooze on you. Why does it do that when its purpose is to observe and archive information anyway? Who knew you could do so much with ink rails? This level devotes itself to showing it. Knowing you can stomp on them, drop or jump at will, and activate them from a distance is legit useful on the multiplayer maps they're present on. A fun stage that also teaches something useful. We're at the point where the worlds get bigger and the levels stop messing around. How I feel about this stage and its winding path of propeller evaders depends heavily on the weapon. Go with your hero gear and it flows really well. Use the Nautilus or Goo Tuber though and... Well, we didn't have an enemy that used a slosher before, so here we are. Did they have to be such a pain in the ass, though? Jumping up above your range and sloshing at you from further than you'd ever be able to yourself? The level itself is annoying, but the Squid Sisters commentary actually got a laugh out of me, so it's not all bad. Something about Octoballers is just inherently funny, you know? And the best part is, they're not carrying this level on their own. The layout's fun, the challenges are varied, and the commentary is comedy gold for the second level in a row. That's a strike if I ever saw one. Sorry, couldn't resist. Another Soaker Block stage, but this one's more platforming heavy and emphasizes small fry. Little buddy can keep hitting a soaker and keep the blocks that sprout out from it active as long as you need. A brisk level that takes care of business quickly, unless you pick the tri-stringer, then you'll be here a while. Now for a change of pace. No fighting, no platforming, just attempting to carve a whale out of crates with perfect precision. Always nice to have breaths of fresh air like this. Also helps teach precise aiming with imprecise weapons, which can come in handy sometimes. Pull! I vividly remember taking several tries getting to the end of this one, only to get cheesed by the last crate and forced to do it all over. In hindsight, I wouldn't have picked the Dapple Doolies for it if I'd realized they had such short range, so my bad. The other weapons have an easier time. But still, was that trick at the end really necessary? Been a while since we've had a level designed to teach a specific mechanic. This one's built around storing the charges of chargers to prep snipes safely. Level gave me fits at first until I started actually using the targeting reticle. Can you tell I'm not a charger main? Once I got the hang of that, I started appreciating this one more. Another rail shooter, if you will. A notable step up in difficulty from the first one, but it still feels mostly fair. The checkpoint in the middle also saves on frustration. Enjoy it while it lasts. Shout out to the background, by the way. Sonic Frontiers Cyberspace a month before Sonic Frontiers. More Octo-Zeppelins to ride, this time with more complex platforming. There's a lot more going on here than its predecessor stage had. More twists and turns make for a more interesting layout and more enjoyable level overall. Or maybe the music's just that much more of a banger. Or a binger? Target shooting again? This one's focused on small, self-contained challenges. Real talk, I really appreciate that there's a checkpoint between each section of this one. Lets the individual parts be more difficult without the pressure of having to get several right in a row. A level devoted to the other new weapon type in Splatoon 3. I don't know about this one though. Feels a little too long, which is a problem when you're lugging a heavy weapon like the Stamper around. Maybe the Splatana Wiper would have been a better pick for this stage, while still letting you pretend to be a master samurai. Oh man, this one. Who knew having to play connect the dots with a brush on a timer could be such a rush? Seriously, this design is great. They get you used to the premise with an intro section, then turn you loose once you have the hang of it. You even get to admire your handiwork afterward. Good stuff. Man, these boss fights are consistently awesome. First Fry with her eel charmer act, now Shiver riding a giant shark, wearing shades, with multiple different attacks, on a gradually sinking arena that makes the fight tougher over time in an organic way. Just don't think too hard about how you're making Master Mega vulnerable by making him choke on Small Fry. Yeesh. Site 5 opens with, I don't know, this one feels kinda generic. Maybe it's because shooting at stronger than usual enemies while using cover is kinda vanilla at this point in the campaign. Sure, it carries over into actual matches more directly, but I don't know. This one, though, actually felt better to play the second time around. Octo Stamps can be annoying, but they're fine if your aim is good. Distracting shielded Octo Troopers with Small Fry is another helpful trick, though exclusive to here. And if you have curling bombs available, they make for smoother movement. Not only is a climb up a sniper-infested tower a huge cliché, there's nary a checkpoint to be found. Your ability to stay out of the line of fire is put to the utmost test here, and the higher up you go, the harder it is. Which is a problem, because one screw-up can mean starting the whole thing over again. It gets frustrating fast. Well, I guess this is one way to learn how to target Big Bubbler's weak points. What feels like a low point waiting to happen ends up not half bad once you get the hang of the counterplay. Also helps teach a useful strat. Getting to higher ground makes destroying barriers much easier. Hey, haven't I seen this somewhere before? Another short challenge, and damn if it ain't difficult to find the last couple eggs you'll inevitably lose track of. The better your memory, the less likely you'll spend the last 10 seconds desperately waka-waka-wakaing around hoping you find the damn things. Your friendly neighborhood zipcaster is back, this time with more bad guys to fight. The replica city environment's trickier to zip around, especially if your aim is off and you fail to one-shot stuff, but we're far enough along now that we're up to the challenge, right? Oh, this one. Okay, look. Premise? Cool. Aesthetics? Awesome. But this level is an egregious difficulty spike. Twice the length of the previous rail shooter, no checkpoints whatsoever, all 3 weapons are tougher to use, and they have the gall to throw a new set piece at you at the very end that you only get 1 shot at. Damn it, level designers, what happened? And now for the perfect way to vent after the previous level. Splash downing everything in sight feels so satisfying after doing God knows how many rides through Target Town, and even if the special isn't available outside single player right now, it's still appreciated. Alright game, we're cool. How about that? A level with a low visibility gimmick where the enemies are affected too, I think. Having the ability to get the drop on them makes this level more fun than what usually happens when fog gets involved. That bit at the end where you retrace your steps with Octarians lying in wait is also kinda neat. So let me get this straight. I get that the targets are smaller here, but we have actual checkpoints, easier to use weapons, and the tower at the end just has you redo sections if you mess up instead of killing you off. What is this doing after Target Town? So yeah, pretty fun level this one. Spider squid, does whatever a spider did. Another one this soon is weird, but it does stand out at least, downplaying combat in favor of more ink slinging and wall crawling. Aim carefully, don't look down, and this one wraps up faster than I remembered it going the first time around. A primer on long-range weapons that aren't chargers. Actually pretty fun once you get the hang of your longer reach and use your weapon and sub in tandem, even if the apparent Donkey Kong homage at the end is missing its barrels. A stage like this sets up Site 5 to end with a bang. Or is it a bing? Or they could tack on a weird puzzle level at the end. One long run that tests your ability to learn the angle shooter on the fly. The weird marker laser has its uses when the level layout is tailor-made for it like it is here. In an actual match on a typical map with less conducive cover though, I don't know. Oh sure, now they throw a level full of enemy Octolings at us. With no prior matchup experience besides a cameo in the Splatoon stage and low visibility to deal with, this one can be rough if you're not ready for bad guys with loadouts similar to yours. Just focus, take it one section at a time, and try not to think of the lore implications of what they're doing here. This far in, and we still have so far to climb, or at least it feels that way with all these stupid enemies taking potshots from above. Work your way up slowly, pick them off one by one, and stay the hell away from the sniper's targeting light, and it's mostly doable. Oh, and you can activate the gold pylon at the end without fighting the enemies in the back. Yeah, that name's pretty appropriate. A whole bunch of self-contained skirmishes in increasingly difficult arenas. This one tests your patience as much as it does your combat skill, especially if you pick the Luna Blaster and have to fight the layout every step of the way. By the time you're through here, you'll be glad you are. And you thought last level was stressful? Key here is avoiding attacking the enemies whenever possible, which is not only counterintuitive, it means having to dodge enemy fire while climbing and negotiating enemy ink. And it's a long way up. And slipping up means you're back down below, where there's probably more enemy ink than before, and you're better off just restarting. Ugh. Getting through the whole thing without touching enemy ink once sounds awful, but turns out this one's actually a puzzle stage. Using curling bombs to ink a safe path through a bunch of little obstacle courses is actually pretty fun. A much appreciated palate cleanser after the last couple nightmares. A level this late devoted to rollers? Not complaining. Nothing like a power trip at a point where you're starting to feel demoralized from the difficulty, and it's still just as satisfying as always to wipe out enemies with a single flick and steamroll your way to victory. You ever see a level layout and just know what's about to happen? Yeah, This one separates the squid kids from the squid adults. Think fast, ink fast, don't bother with the enemies unless they're right in your path, and cross your fingers that you don't run out of ink. That's not so bad, right? When did we stumble into a Mario Sunshine secret area? Going up each layer of this expanding and contracting cube is tricky enough. Fighting off every enemy along the way without biting it, and exercising frustration waiting to happen. One long fall from the top will make you want to bang your head against a wall. Now that's what I'm talking about. A race against the clock, bobbing and weaving through terrain and around obstacles and enemies, inking a path forward where there isn't one already. This level's a rush. Shame it's over so quickly. Then again, that just means you did it right. An inkjet level this late? Half wonder if this would have fit better in Site 4 or 5. Not that I'm complaining. All of the special's unique properties get spotlighted here for some really creative platforming, and a helpful reminder that you're not invincible while you're flying around. What has 8 tentacles, 1 helmet, and loves wasting your time? These little pains in the ass. Your method of dealing with them varies based on the weapon you pick. Place mines in their path, snipe them from a distance, or lob blobs from above. Either way, hopefully you won't be stuck here for too long. Hopefully. Well, this is not how I thought they'd wrap up the regular stages. A time trial where you stamp a bunch of octoballs to oblivion? Better learn how to steer the ultra stamp quickly, because you'll need to know how fast. And whatever you do, don't get cheesed by the last one rolling around the perimeter walls. Admit it, you either laughed or groaned when you realized what the devs were doing here. Good thing it's way easier to fight a storm of silhouette manta rays with a splatter shot than it ever was with Flood. The one problem with this fight is, if you've been upgrading your gear, the sensor straight up tells you which Phantom Big Man is hiding under. Makes the fight a little less fresh. Whew, reached the endgame sequence, and we're starting with a sorta kinda stealth section. This stage is Small Fry's second finest hour, and the design gets a lot of mileage out of the little buddy until you get your gear back. We're starting off strong with this one, and the rest does not disappoint. Ever wanted to feel all-powerful while storming the enemy stronghold? How about a gauntlet of Octarians that let you take a crack at every special in the game? No time to waste with so much at stake, and the game obliges by letting you mow down everything in your path if your aim is on point. Bring it, Mr. Grizz. You know, on paper, I should hate there being an auto-scroller smack dab in the middle here, but no, it's not half bad. Maybe it's the pace change? Maybe because it lets the tension ratchet up? Either way, it's challenging but fair, and gives you a chance to realize how much the Space Center parallels Dr. Wily's castle in classic Mega Man. It's all up from here, literally. First comes a steady climb up a spiral path that doesn't get monotonous thanks to a revolving door of obstacles. Don't worry, Great Zapfish, we'll be back for you later. Then the rocket itself is a final test of all the superheroing you did before, with shades of the Stars minigame in Twilight Princess of all things. Coming down to the wire now. Whatever you do, don't screw up. What is there to say that hasn't already been said? The multi-phase epic with the fate of the world at stake? The way mechanics from the Alterna overworld and Salmon Run come together? Or how about the second half where every ally in the campaign, and Octavio, joins forces for the most epic Calamari incantation to date? Anyone else get Sonic Adventure 2 vibes from this fight? Seriously though, this is how you end a single-player campaign in the best way. There you have it. A comprehensive list of every main stage in Splatoon 3 story mode, ranked based on how good, bad, or meh they are. Between you and me, I might have bit off more than I could chew with this one. Note to self, if you're going to do a quirky tier list video, be prepared if it's going to have 70 things to rank. But not as much work as the devs clearly put into most of these level designs. Splatoon single-player modes have a reputation for a reason, and this game lives up to it. What'll they throw at us with the DLC? Hey, if you're still around, check out my other content. I've done a couple videos like this before, and I could tackle more if there's enough interest. I also do a lot of Smash Brothers stuff. Actually designed a full Smash moveset for the Octolings if you're curious about that. Worth checking out, right? Right? Special thanks for this video to these people here. Thanks especially to my patrons for the continued support, and for understanding when I branch out from my usual content like this. So, Until next time, catch you later.